Hey guys, it's Saturday night, July 7th, 10 o'clock. Just finished prepping about 500 3006 cases. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, got 9 different types of brass. The weight ranges from 180 grains, which is the Hornady, up through 200 grains, which is the Federal. And got 3 different loads that I'm working with for the Springfield, the Garand, and the Untitled. And for the most part, I'm going to be using 155 grain Sierra tipped Match Kings. One of the neat things is I got a whole lot of this. I wanted to show you these. These are like the holy grail of brass for the 3006. Got your garden variety M2 Lake City 1968. That had a hell of a crimp in it. All the mil-spec stuff had a really heavy crimp. And this is M2 ammunition here. But this stuff didn't have a crimp. This is Lake City 1962 match. And what this is this is M72. These are pushing 172 or 173 grain bullets. The M2s push, I think, 147 or 150 grainer. I got a whole mess of those. And the neat thing is no crimp. No crimp in the primer pocket of that match case. Anything up in the higher weight level is going to hold up a lot better for you. And I have, so the Federals are pretty good, no crimp. PMC, heavy crimp. And the Remingtons are kind of down in the area with Winchester, Frontier, and Hornady. These are all lighter cases down here. When you're doing your load development, you should work with your heavier cases, because worst case scenario is that if you use a load that you've developed with the heavier case and you put that powder charge in a lighter case, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to have lower velocity. Now some of the manuals say, because there's a 20 grain difference in these case capacities, that you could literally there's a grain difference in powder charge to accomplish the same thing. So if we're running 50 grains in this, you could put 51 grains in this one because it has more internal case capacity. And how do you know that? It's because the weight of the case is lighter. So got 3 different powders here. I'm planning on, for the Springfield, I'll be using this IMR 4350. 53 grains of this and a 155 grain tipped Match King. I can shoot on a good day 1-inch iron sights at 100 yards. Put 5 into a little circle like this at my brother's club the other day. Highly temperature sensitive though, so if you're doing any load development, understand that you need to shoot at the temperature that you've done your development, because you can get upwards of 80 to 90 feet per second change just by temperature changing. Very, very good powder. I guess the Hodgdon is much more temperature insensitive, but that's very, very hard to come by. So this is what I'm going to use for the Springfield. Now for the Enfield. The Enfield likes Reloader 17. The Enfield has a new Criterion barrel on it too, so it also likes 168 grain Sierra Match Kings. Well, what I have here, these are 165 grain Sierra Game Kings. Look at the tip on those, huh? Very, very expansive. Just nasty looking bullet. I have 200 of these, so I'm going to use those for the Enfield with reloader 17. And this also takes 53 grains. That's just where I ended up, 53 grains. And got a decent group with this one as well. Here's another 100-yard group. You've seen it on a previous video, but this is the load development for this one. It is right where my thumb is here. Okay, so that's 3 shots right there, 100 yards, 53 grains. Gives you a velocity of 2,792 feet per second. So let's just say 2,800 feet per second. Now we get to the Garand. The Garand needs to be fed a specific powder, and that powder needs to be a medium burn rate to slightly fast. You don't want to go with a slower one. I think 4350 and reloader 17 would be just a little on the slow side. And it just so happens I've got a lot of varget around. So for the Garand, I'm going to be using 46.5 to 47 grains of varget with a 155 grain Sierra tipped Match King. The reason why you want to stay in your medium burn rate, as you get slower, that pressure curve has the potential of damaging the Garand. Now, that's a pretty tough gun, and they've run it through a whole lot of different scenarios. You'd really have to be a savage to create a situation that would probably damage that operation rod, but one of the things that you do want to stay away from are slower burning powders. Funny thing is, slower burning powders in the 30-06 work very, very well in bolt guns, but you can't use that same data. I know the Hornady 11th, I think it's the 11th, it's the 10th edition. Hornady 10th edition has data in there specifically for the Garand, and they show some very, very subdued powder charges. So here we are, and it's Saturday night. And the biggest thing I had to overcome with these cases were drilling out the primer pockets. It took a long time. We had a couple of days that we were almost 100 degrees, and I sat right here in front of the air conditioner and did my case prep. I don't really like the hot temperatures all that much. I'd rather have to put on a jacket rather than be sweltering. And a lot of my friends have ended up going down, moving to Florida because they just want to avoid winter altogether. And it was a pretty bad winter here this last year. But other than that, I wanted to show you what I had loaded up. And I'm going to go through the process of kind of individually loading each batch. And right here, where did I get all this brass? I got this brass at Vernon National. This was all loaded ammunition. And I'll show you the... It all came on the stripper clips. And here are the 172 grain, never fired, on the clips. 1962 Lake City match. And you'll notice the match stuff doesn't have a crimped primer pocket. I'm not running this stuff through my Garand because the Garand will literally destroy the back of that case. So this is going to be bolt gun stuff. I'm going to use it for my bolt guns because the extractor on the Garand is just vicious. It'll rip the back of that all around. Any of the heads on the stuff that's been fired with the Garand, I got to run a file over it and do all sorts of things. And I put it in a headspace case gauge to make sure that it's going to chamber. Again, let me see if I can find one that's been kind of, it won't be hard to find, although I have filed quite a few of these. 1 minute, please. Got some really good, this was good ammunition too. Anyways, you're not going to be able to see that one. I should have had a prop out all ready to go here. Let's see. well, I filed a lot of these down. But if you look at the head on that, it's been, can you see right there at, I guess it would be 3 o'clock. It does mash the heads on the cases pretty good. But what you're looking at there with that number 88 on there, that is Yugoslavian, and that had a hell of a crimp in the primer pocket as well. I've got about 300 of these, and this is really, really good ammunition. I think it might have been made in Serbia. I called it Yugoslavian, but there was a manufacturing plant in Serbia that made that, and there's millions and millions of rounds of that out there. And it was still has the imprint on it for the belt for the machine gun. But a lot of people look at this ammunition and think it's inferior stuff. A lot of the mil-spec stuff weighs 20 grains more than the stuff that you can go down to Runnings and get, you know. It's just a Winchester and Hornady. It's good stuff, but it's not on the level of the old stuff that you can get. So if you're aware of anybody that has any of this on hand, it might be a little bit more money on the front end, but you're going to definitely get more loads on the other end. So I was just doing a little bit of a roundabout here tonight. Hopefully you guys have a nice Sunday, and I'm going to just wrap this up with saying have a good weekend. Take care.